We have the latest details on Big 12 expansion. I have to tell you, this has been brewing now for a couple of weeks. We've talked about the values of Gonzaga versus UConn. And one of the things we've talked about on this show on a regular basis is what is the value of Gonzaga versus UConn versus a San Diego State to the Big 12? Well, now the real interesting question is, will Big 12 presidents approve UConn to join the conference? And I told you about a week ago, I thought that was going to be an uphill battle. I thought it was going to be an uphill fight. I think UConn basketball is a no-brainer. The problem is UConn plays football and not well. It is not a good football program. They do not invest heavily in it. They bail it out.
It's garbage.
They don't win games. It is a real issue. Outside of a season or two, UConn football is largely an afterthought. They don't play on campus. It is not great. And one of the major concerns, according to our sources amongst Big 12 presidents, is that UConn football will become a drag on the Big 12 conference. And one of the things that we've also talked about a lot is this uncoupling, as Brett Yormark called it. We've been telling you that the Big 12 is working and has a plan to make basketball its own business unit, as it will do the same with football. And the biggest question is, what will it do to the overall quality of the Big 12 if you add UConn football? Because in its history, UConn has shown no desire to grow and expand its football program. And if you bring in a dog football program that has consistently, over its history, lost a lot more games than it's won, it damages the overall health of the conference as much as it does for basketball. Basketball and football are now separate models, right? They're separate business units. The Big 12 and its presidents, according to our sources, are hesitant to add UConn because the football program would then become a drag on the conference as a whole. Mm-hmm. Jake, do you buy that this is a real issue for Big 12 expansion?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the one thing, whether you're the Big 12 or any other conference, that you have to consider an expansion is just value overall. So, great if you have a strong football program, and then your basketball program is crap. That's not going to work, right? If you have, an amazing football program and an amazing basketball program, you're, just rubber stamp that thing. We're going to add you. On the other side of it, like in UConn's case, strong basketball program, but the football program sucks. That's an issue because football is ultimately the number one in college athletics. It does pay for everything else. And yes, basketball makes money, and certain programs make more money in basketball than other programs. But at the same time, if you're trying to get $31.7 million as an expansion team, a full share, you got to be full share worthy. And that's why I think the proposition of Gonzaga versus UConn swings so heavily in Gonzaga's favor because they're not asking for $31.7 million. Their valuation is somewhere around $15 million, and I think they would get more than that, probably somewhere around 20, because they're valuable, because they make you a lot of money in basketball, and they're going to bring all the rest of their sports. So UConn's problem is very much real. You can't just be a small, school that has a basketball program and not really anything in football. That doesn't really work. And if you're the Big 12, you're not in a position where you need to take risk. You're not in a position where you need to just add anybody. So J.D. Wicker over at San Diego State should probably stop talking about that they're just going to go anywhere. Because notice all the San Diego State hype has stopped. That's over with now.
Yes.
UConn, you have a bit of a problem. Gonzaga's in the driver's seat. And I think that just is logical. It makes sense.
But here's the other thing, though, and I know a lot of people want to guess and surmise. I was told directly today that UConn as a basketball-only member is never been discussed and would never be approved, and that UConn would not be open to the idea, and the Big 12 would not accept that as a framework, because I think a lot of people are learning lessons from Notre Dame and the ACC, because Notre Dame football is independent while the rest of their sports reside in the ACC, and it's wreaked havoc on the value of the ACC, frankly. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one example of it, but there are many. Like Gonzaga to the Big 12 is not a basketball-only proposition. And I think the other thing that is really interesting that we've talked a lot about on this show is I don't see a clear path for UConn to move to the Big Ten either. I think UConn is not unlike many other programs in this conversation. I think it's not unlike, say, San Diego State. Because where does San Diego State land in all this? And you have to kind of consider this about UConn. How truly valuable is UConn as a sports brand? Because I've been told directly again that the value of UConn as a sports entity is about $10 million a year. Because football is that much of a financial drag on their bottom line. And when you look at just their stadium situation, or you look at the money that's having to be dumped into UConn football, it is a real problem. It is not some theory. It is not some opinion. UConn football drags down the value of UConn athletics.
Yeah.
Conversely, I look at somebody like San Diego State. What's the real value at San Diego State? And this is the hard pill to swallow. If you are San Diego State and you're making these big statements about, hey, we know we're the number one option in the Pac-12. Well, what does that really mean? You're the number one option in a conference that is quite literally facing extinction.
You know.
What does that really mean? The issue is you've never been relevant in basketball before, and now all of a sudden you played for a national championship, but there's no reason to believe you'll play for a championship again. And frankly, San Diego State football is not a Power 5 football program. Has never been. Why would we believe that it would be? And it's great that San Diego State is invested in Snapdragon and the stadium is beautiful. There's no doubt about that. But just like UConn, but less. Because UConn's got banner after banner in the basketball department, both women's and men's. What do you have at San Diego State? You're a baseball school. If we're being quite literal, you're a baseball school. And I know that's hard to take, but this is why for weeks we have questioned why J.D. Wicker, the athletic director at San Diego State, would drop in a very odd statement. Hey, we're leaving. We just don't know if it's the Big 12 or the Pac-12.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And then you have your president, Della Torre, at San Diego State, saying we know we're the number one option for the Pac-12. What an odd thing to say at an odd time when by most accounts the Pac-12 is on the verge of extinction. And you don't really offer a lifeline in that situation. So I look at UConn and I really compare it to San Diego State because with the drag of the football department, what is the real value of UConn athletics? It's that you win basketball games. But in the Big 12, one thing that I think you really need to consider is that while Brett Yormark is new and energetic and his focus is on making money, if you're a president in the Big 12, what are you really focused on? And I'm talking about Cincinnati and BYU and UCF and Houston. What are they all really focused on? They're focused on football. Those are football programs. You look at Oklahoma State. You look at TCU. Are they really worried about their basketball teams more than they're worried about their football teams? You have a bunch of presidents in the Big 12 that are focused on being a football powerhouse. And I think that does not line up with where UConn is because UConn is a basketball entity only. And I think that, in my opinion, is the biggest reason, Jake, that UConn will not be added to the Big 12 now. And I don't even know that in the next round of expansion, UConn would be added to the Big 12.
Yeah, I just don't think it's necessary. And I think the other thing you got to keep in mind with Brett Yormark, and really any commissioner, but because it's the Big 12, Brett Yormark, he can want to do things. So he can want to add UConn, let's say, or Gonzaga or whoever. He can bring all these options to the table, but again, the presidents are going to be the ones that rubber stamp this stuff. And again, Gonzaga's an easy decision. There's literally zero reason why you would not add Gonzaga. It just makes sense. It's cheap. Like, you're good. Like, it's perfect, right? Like, that makes sense. But Brett's job is to basically shepherd his conference in a positive direction. Grow the conference, make the conference more money, do things that grow and make this thing more money. That's Brett Yormark's mission is. So inevitably, at some point in that timeline and in that effort to do that job, Brett Yormark is going to bring something to the table that might be questionable or maybe isn't as attractive. And so then that's going to cause the presidents to say no. And I look at UConn and I say, that's what this is. He's seen an opportunity and said, okay, yep, hey, this is something that we should consider, but hey, here are some issues with it. That's all it is. That's literally it.
Well, and there was a lot of belief that UConn was flying into the Big 12. I don't believe that UConn ever was in West Virginia for the Big 12 spring business meetings. I'm not. Yeah. I don't buy that. I know there's a bunch of airport data that people spit out, and cool, bro. That's great. I don't believe that UConn is a serious. I just don't. One person told me that, sure, the Big 12 has looked at UConn, but you're kicking the tires on it because you have to. I think that's what makes more sense to me. When we sit here and we consider what is best for the Big 12, I still maintain, and it's what I've said, and I'll say it again. My sources have told me Gonzaga has a verbal invite to the Big 12. Mm-hmm. My sources have told me that they are deep, deep into conversations. My sources have told me that Gonzaga is going to get $20 million a year to join the Big 12. That's what their value to the Big 12 is. And I think that's about nail on the head.
Yeah.
Because I think that puts them at $30 to $35 million a year, which is an absolute Brinks truck for Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Because they are a basketball institution.
Gonzaga.
Period. Do they play other sports? Absolutely.
Gonzaga.
But because of basketball, they're worth $20 million a year to the Big 12.
I like Gonzaga.
And I think that's what the conversation, or at least that's what I've been told by sources, is the discussion right now.
Yeah.
Where are we at? What are we worth? And I think that they are being told that they are worth $20 million. And I think they will take that money every single day. Every single day they will take that money. Because that makes a lot of sense. This hour of the show is always presented by our good friends at Papa Murphy's Pizza. While you wait to get your comment read on The Monty Show, have you considered calzones from Papa Murphy's Pizza?
At Papa Murphy's, we do more than just pizza. We do calzones.
Papa Murphy's does calzones?
Oh, I think you mean I do the calzones.
And how do you do it, Dad?
How do I do it? How do I do it?
Well, we do it with fresh ingredients and hand-shredded cheese tucked in a scratch-made dough.
That's how, honey.
At Papa Murphy's, we make great pizza.
You don't forget the calzones.
Order now at papamurphys.com.
Use the promo code Monty25 to get 25% off your purchase of $25 or more at Papa Murphy's Pizza. I love the calzone. I'm a huge fan of calzone.
Who isn't?
You got to dip it in ranch dressing. That or marinara sauce. Get the marinara meatball. The calzone with the marinara meatballs, undefeated. Undefeated. But you get that calzone and you dip it in ranch, good night. Good night now. It is absolutely over.
Bomb.
It is absolutely over. Make sure you use the promo code Monty25 to get 25% off your purchase of $25 or more at Papa Murphy's Pizza. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on The Monty Show, which is presented by The Advocates. Are we going to have a much more enjoyable hour number 2 to the show? Can we? Will we? We absolutely will, because it's going to be a lot more of you and a lot less of us on The Monty Show, presented by The Advocates, theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business. And guys, I tell you every single day, if you get hurt at work, it is imperative that you have somebody that will fight for you. And I know everybody says, oh, it's being physically for obvious reasons, but your mental well-being, your mental health, your financial health, your relationships at home, because you're frustrated, you're upset, you don't feel good, you're physically in pain. Let somebody fight for you. Worry about getting back to the best version of yourself so that you can support your family, so that you can be your best version of yourself. The Advocates are going to get you every penny and more that you're entitled to. Trust me when I tell you that. They are the best hurt at work attorneys in the business. Workman's comp is shark-infested waters. And I know everybody says to me, but my boss and my manager, they care about me, and they said they're going to take care of everything. That may be true. But let me ask you this. What do you have to lose by going to the Advocates? Chatting with an attorney live online for free. No obligation right now at theadvocates.com. Nothing. You have absolutely nothing to lose. Tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. Let's reset the topics for you. I would love to hear your opinion on this situation with UConn, who I believe is one of the dwindling possibilities in Big 12 expansion. We've talked about this a lot on the show. You've heard a lot of names, the four corner schools. You've heard them all, right? But we've talked a lot about Gonzaga and UConn on this show, and we've told you over and over again, I've always felt like UConn was an awkward fit because of their football program. And I see all the comments about, well, why can't they just build a stadium on campus? Well, why haven't they already? I mean, understand that they're on school-owned land, not close to campus and stores. It's, I think, a 38,000-seat stadium.
Yeah.
That's not spectacular. It is just a building in a cow pasture, essentially. It's not entertaining. It's not. And so you start to think to yourself, okay, well, what is it that UConn really brings to the table? Men's and women's basketball at a very high level. But how much is UConn football going to cost the Big 12? And I think it's significant. And again, I've told you for weeks and weeks and weeks, UConn is not available as a basketball-only member. Mm-hmm. And I don't think the Big 12 would add them for that. And I have been told point blank that the Big 12 views UConn football as a liability and does not want to add UConn for that exact reason. Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing that is really significant to understand, and we've told you this for months and months, Brett Yormark is going to split basketball and football off as their own business units. So he does not have to do, everybody's like, well, you got to get 2 over here and 4 over there and 6 over here. Got to have nice round numbers. Au contraire, mon frere. You can be unbalanced in basketball. You can certainly be unbalanced in basketball because, by the way, look at how many leagues are going away from divisions. Look at how many leagues are going to a single conference format. And I think it's the exact right thing to do.
Yes.
And I also think you got to play 9 league games. And I actually would tell you, I think you need to play 10 league games and 2 out-of-conference games, period.
So
Done.
I said, yeah.
That's it. That's it. But I know that's crazy. An SEC fan, please do not freak out and lose your mind.
How could you say that? 8 games.
What do you mean? 8 games.
Nick
Saban. 8 games.
Excellent strategy, sir.
Play 9, 10 conference games. What do you have to lose? Make more money for yourselves. Oh, yeah, that's right. We forgot about that. It makes more money when Nick Saban is playing Ole Miss or A&M instead of Waxy Hatchy Technical Institute of Hair Salon dressing.
Nick Saban is a better man than you are.
But our defensive backs put those permanents in those old ladies' hair like you can't even believe. Perfect circles, baby. Nobody wants to play nobody. Well, unless you can play 8 conference games and still get 10 seats at the table, which is apparently the formula in the SEC, but neither here nor there. All right, let's get your comments rolling on here. Truck Stop Gumby says, cow turd.
Cow turd.
Mr. Monkey says, I'm okay with adding UConn, but there has to be contractual miles. No, I just don't think that works. I don't think that works because what happens when UConn wins 2 games in Big 12 football? Oh,
It's a no question.
The conference power rating goes down, and there's less respect, and that's what happens. That's absolutely what happens. Cash Money says maybe UMass can join the Big 12. He gives us $2 more to say I turned 23 today. Well, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Case Ruiz gives us $2 and then 2 more. If a 4C team is out of the Big 12, Oregon State can replace it.
This case is empty.
Oregon State can replace it. I'm telling you, Oregon State is an absolute under-the-radar dog to join the Big 12.
Option for sure.
I think people undervalue it constantly. Joseph Carruthers. But Alabama needs a rest to play West Carolina before their big game against Auburn. It's just tough in the SEC.
Kiss my butt.
Those poor guys.
Man.
Wow.
Is that why it got ran all the way back in the Iron Bowl? Is that what happened? They needed more rest?
Right. AAR, UConn, they think they're like Notre Dame or something. Not, well, maybe, I don't know. I think UConn's elite at basketball. Elite. JM says everything was on track for 9 SEC games until Saban complained.
How dare you?
You say that about Nick Saban.
Saban is a better man than you are.
Phyllis is going to get upset. UConn has to improve their football program for them to fit. I totally agree. It would make way more sense for Colorado to join over them. If they improve, then maybe we can get a realistic conversation. Absolutely. Bryce Martin, SEC has no problem with Vandy winning 2 games every year. Well, when it's Georgia and Alabama, what problem are you going to have?
Yeah, it's Kirby and his SRT Jeeps, man. Come on.
Truck Stop Gumby says the Oregon State. Exactly right. Exactly right. Jeremy Callahan, Oregon State is actually in the Pacific time zone, so there is that. All year long. All year long, they're in the Pacific time zone.
Man.
Vandy has research dollars. Indeed, they do.
Wow.
Indeed, they do. Mapes, what's up? Says, does this mean as much as Utah football helps the Big 12, their basketball team could make them not worth adding? I think right now, the RPI and the power rankings and all that stuff that matters so much more in basketball, the Big 12 is just a dominant conference. Dominant. And you're adding Houston, who is a dominant basketball program.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is. I think it's a very different combination and a very different formula in college basketball than it is in college football. I think so, but that's just me. Gary, what's up, Gary? Since when does UConn have a football team? It's exactly my point. Randy Edsall. You guys remember that?
When does UConn have a football team, bro?
We should pull up UConn football.
Don't play intramurals, brother.
Like, I wonder. There it is right there.
That's a Big 12.
Here's their schedule.
You guys ready?
NC State, at Georgia State, FIU, Duke, Utah State, at Rice. They play Rice. Southern Florida, at Boston College, at Tennessee, at James Madison, Sacred Heart, UMass.
Because it's garbage.
Bro. Yeah, so about that $31.7 million payment.
Dude.
Yeah.
Listen, I get it. You're an independent, and I know that's difficult. You're an independent.
But BYU suffered in independence.
Pratt and Whitney Stadium in East Hartford, Connecticut.
Yeah, it is. Let's see. Let me pull it back up. 23 miles from campus, bro.
That's what I mean. Like, you're not relevant. You are not.
Come on.
UConn's just not an option for the Big 12. And I can only say it so many times, and people are going to espouse about how great they are. And I'm just telling you now, UConn is not a viable option for the Big 12.
Untrained eye.
I don't see how you do it.
It's not optional.
I don't see how you do it. Drew Christensen, I don't see UConn as a good fit for the Big 12. There are better options out there. Gabriel says, dude, I love that soundbite. Phyllis is amazing.
Yeah, which soundbite would that be, sir?
Probably
we have over
Roll
500, so.
Probably. Maury Alvarez says the Big 12 should add UConn so that West Virginia can have a win every year.
Do you view this season as a failure?
Stop it. West Virginia, they did beat UConn.
Dude, do you remember when we talked about West Virginia for one day and West Virginia fan found a way to be so pissed about it?
Like, lost their ever-loving mind. And they're like, well, listen, we're UConn. Jim Moore is our head coach. Yeah, how did that go last year? Wow. He went to the Myrtle Beach Bowl.
Gotta be fucking kidding me.
6-7 last year in the Myrtle Beach Bowl.
Well.
Two Master says Jim Mora is a better man.
Nick Saban is a better man than you are.
Oh, Two Master, that's a great comment. Charles, but does Oregon State use 3 whole straws? Well, How many holes are in a straw? You know? Jim Choi, if ESPN had paid $5 million per team, they would have expanded to 9 games. Maybe. Maybe. It's fair. UConn paying for that football airfare to Provo is a no-no and brings zero value. That's the no-no zone.
Bro.
Don't touch me there.
Dude.
Don't touch me there. That, sir, is my no-no square.
You're welcome. Roger Abbott. Utah is going to the Big Ten. They won't sully their good name by being associated with the truck stop conference.
Oh, okay.
I love that people are like, oh, but they've been vetted and cleared. And, you know, Sally Beauty Supply Training Center has been vetted and cleared by the Big Ten. You know, and the funny thing is, Jim's Diesel Mechanic Institute has now been vetted and cleared by the Big Ten. Will you stop with it? Well, they've been vetted and cleared, and they've been vetted and cleared.
You know.
You're vetted and cleared, and you're vetted and cleared.
What are you, Oprah, bro?
Hey,
like,
Jake,
you get a book.
Jake, congratulations. You've been vetted and cleared to join the Big Ten.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Like, come on now. And we told you, one of the things that was very interesting about the terminology vetted and cleared, because we dug into it after all of the ridiculousness about Oregon and Washington, Stanford and Cal. Vetted and cleared essentially means your TV partners will pay for them. That's what that means. I don't see any way that Utah ends up in the Big Ten. And I could be wrong. I could be absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. Raider Mark, that Sacred Heart game is fire.
Dude, come on, bro.
Look, Jim Morris here now. We're going to add big names to the football schedule. For instance, and like Sacred Heart.
Because it's garbage.
Listen. John's Chevy Certified Mechanic Institute, their offensive line is massive. I mean, they're built like engine blocks, bro.
Yeah.
You see how big those HDs are?
The hell out of here with that.
Come on, the Diesel Mechanic Certification College. Well, look. No, I'm not doing it. Gabriel, UConn has an easier schedule than some G5s. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But so, as an independent, and this is for everybody who ripped Tom Homo at BYU. Oh, man, nobody wants them. They wear underwear and play on Saturdays only. Look at the schedule that Tom Homo at BYU put together as an independent.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
Now, did he occasionally have Charlie's Widget Institute on the schedule? No, he never did. But did he have a bunch of Pac-12 schools on the schedule and whoop that ass every year?
I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
I mean, just not usually Utah because they never beat Utah. But that's not really the point. My point is, I should probably stop now. J.K. Marshall, UConn versus Hofstra in field hockey. Field hockey is amazing. Sebesta, UConn played in as many BCS bowls as Baylor. Chumasta, UMass are low-key Dixie State-esque.
Okay.
Well, Dixie State isn't a thing anymore, sir. Please refer to it as Utah Tech. Thank you. Drew Testicle has asked this question like 40 times today. Drew, do you feel better now? Do you okay. There you go, Drew. Hey, everybody. All right, Drew, thanks. Gary, UConn goes 0-12. See what he did there?
See what he did there?
The X and the II.
Yeah, it's like the logo.
See what he did there? Gabriel, roll tide. Exactly.
Roll Tide!
Thank you. Cow turd is the best soundbite.
Hey, cow turd.
I don't disagree. Roger says Arizona State, UW, Utah, and Arizona State all are going to the Big Ten. I seriously doubt that. Seriously doubt that.
Notice how he's like, there will be 4 7-team pods. Pods is a hot word in college football realignment right now.
Yeah, it is.
Pods.
It is. I seriously doubt it. Harry Austin says, who wins, Kansas or UConn football? Kansas football's legit. They're going to have to, they need to back it up this year, but there is no question that they are legit.
Mm-hmm.
There is no doubt about it. JM says Pratt & Whitney make aircraft engines. Yeah, because UConn plays at a high No. Nope. Drew Christensen, a good fit for anyone who would be the Bacavo, the best sandwich at Super Chicks.
Boom. Boom.
Why do you bring this up?
Boom.
Like, see,
Boom.
Drew, you say hurtful things like the Bacavo.
Yeah, dude.
Saturday, Mrs. Monty bought me a deluxe with extra pickles, and it was amazing. That's the best chicken sandwich at Super
Nah, dude,
Chicks.
the Bacavo's the best, bro.
No.
Yeah, it is. I'm telling you.
Why do you say stuff like that?
Waves in opposition.
Why do you say stuff like that? Because I don't get it. Super Chicks in Ogden on Riverdale Road. Also down in the Jeezy, St. George. You guys, you know what I love about Super Chicks? I absolutely love the fact that all of their produce, fresh cut in-house. Onions, lettuce, tomato, pickles every single day. Those beautiful French fries that they serve there with salt and pepper only. Cut in-house, fresh every single day. You know what else I love about Super Chicks? You don't want it breaded. You don't want fried chicken. You want just, unbreaded chicken breasts. They can do that too. And it's actual chicken breast. Some of these other frauds out there, because there's everybody and their brother makes a chicken sandwich, right? No, wrong. They don't make a Super Chicks chicken sandwich, which is always a full chicken breast.
Yep.
Always. I love it. They're bomb. The other thing I love, their sauces are all free. Okay, well, you get one free sauce, and then you got to pay with a finger.
You guys don't know what that's like, right? You're rolling through a drive-through at some garbage chicken establishment. We know the names. And they're like, all right, would you like any sauces? Hey, man, yeah, can I get some barbecue? Yeah, that's going to be like
That'll
$10
be
extra
25 cents, please.
Yeah.
Like, it's Super Chicks. No, friends. You can have as much sauce as you want. Of course, you're just going to get the ranch, although the honey mustard's amazing as well. I love it, dude. Super Chicks, the best chicken sandwich in the business.